Hi, and welcome to Coaching Unveiled. I'm James Fenimore from Heart Posture Coaching, joined as always by Jason Donahue from Level Up Fusion Coaching. Jason, how are you?
Doing great. How about you today?
Doing great. Still hot here in Florida, so we're making things happen. But glad to be here with you today and all of you. Today we've got a really good topic. You've heard this saying before, but we're going to actually dig into it today. It's called keeping the main thing the main thing. So Jason, as always, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I think this is an important topic because it's very easy for us always to become distracted. And we're very much in an environment and a culture where distractions are the norm. I mean, just look at the studies dealing with how much people are on their cell phones and there's a ding, there's, something that is pulling at their attention constantly, let alone doom scrolling. And so one of the things that we wanted to come back to was helping people be able to focus on, is the main thing the main thing? And one of the core questions we wanted to offer for people to think about at the beginning is, if everything's important, how do you sort out what truly moves your needle toward action and success and outcomes that you want?
I think the most important thing is identifying what is your main thing. When you have an overarching goal or a big project at work or really a relationship, whatever it becomes, what is the main thing? So I liken this to a relationship. I think that's the easiest way to go about this, right? So if you're in a fight with your spouse, your significant other, a friend, and it's about whatever, right? You left the toilet seat up. Sports team, you showed up late somewhere. But what is the main thing? The main thing is the relationship. It's not the event that took place. Are you honoring the relationship? Are you defending the relationship? Are you trying to better the relationship? That is the ultimate main thing. So sometimes it does take an ability to zoom out and look at the overall concept. So if it is a project at work, okay, we're creating a new marketing campaign and we have to do, this specific marketing campaign to sell this specific product. It's like, okay, but what is the main thing? Zoom out. The main thing is the why or the betterment of our company, the betterment of our industry, whatever that why is, becomes the main thing. And the main thing becomes the driving force for everything. So you always have to keep yourself anchored in what that main thing is for you.
Yeah, I think those are great points. Part of the philosophy I think we can borrow from is there's a book that came out called QBQ by John Miller. And it was the idea of, are we just talking around the edge of things that we need to really be talking about? Are we doing things that distract us from the things we really need to be doing because it's focusing on? And just as you mentioned a while ago, I think it's a great example. Have you ever gotten into arguments with somebody that you're arguing about everything but the real thing? That's what the main thing is. And so one of the things I know that he promotes in his idea is, this change of the question of, why is this happening to me, whatever x is, that variable. So you thought you were going to get away from algebra, but algebra lives in daily life. Whatever x is for you, instead of why is this happening to me, to what can I do to help alter this, to help influence this, to help it, really deal with and manage the main thing. But we get so caught up in the wrapping, we forget the present inside. And that's something that we need to constantly bring our conscious focus to, because it's easy for our emotions to hijack us, particularly in neurology. About then we have chemical cocktails that hit, fear, anxiety produce certain things, tunnel blinders come on into our vision, when we just need to stop and say, what is it that I can do that's my next best action to focus on the main thing?
Yeah, today it's so easy to not focus on the steak. It's so easy to get into our side dishes, our, quick little hits. We're on social media. Like you said, doom scrolling is a big thing. And it's the distractions that get to us. So the main thing sometimes really gets pushed to the side because we're not staying present. We're not staying within ourselves. We're looking at the flashy objects. And those distract us, and we get fixated on those a lot. You know, this is why, and we've talked about this, gratitude is so important because gratitude keeps us grounded. Gratitude sometimes makes us ignore those little external distractions and annoyances and just frustrations and brings us back to the main thing. So, okay, what is my main goal? We recently talked about the farmer's mentality versus the day trader's mentality and how we get so like annoyed with these, no, I'm not making any progress. It's like, but when we stop and we think about what we've done so far and we keep the main objective back to our main objective and we really look at it like, no, I'm making great progress. So this affects you in everything when you keep the main thing, and you stop letting those outside distractions and those outside noises and the flashy objects get to you all the time. Because when you really do keep the main thing, and you stay present, then you can quiet the noise and you can really focus and hone down on what you're doing. And maybe sometimes you're not doing things that are impacting the main thing positively. Maybe you are, when you do quiet things and stay present, you realize, you know what, I'm not acting in my best interest of this project at work, of my relationship, of my friendships, of my family. Maybe you're not. But you didn't even realize that because you were so distracted by all the flashy objects. So being present and staying focused is a really, really important part of understanding where you're at with your main thing.
hmm And I think it's important for us to add too is we're not saying that the distractions aren't valuable. Sometimes they are. What we're saying though is that you need to understand what place they have. So one of the best exercises is if there is one main thing for me to focus on today, what is it? And then let's go back to a comment you had earlier. Why? Why is that so important? Because now as I have my object, I'm wrapping it with purpose. That becomes my beacon of light, like my lighthouse of the day of, I can always judge, am I moving toward that, which I thought was the most important thing, and I'm deeming it. Now, again, there's doom scrolling, which produces neurological cocktail and our body goes one way, but there's also the opposite, which is scrolling for dopamine hits, right? The feel good moments. That's when actually some of that can be helpful, especially on stress management days, that, hey, it's been a pressure type of thing. I like getting on, and there's certain channels or comedians or things that a 5-minute break, it's like, hey, let me get a good laugh. That does my body good. Now I can come back to that main thing. But I've got to build in this compass waypoint about what is that main thing, again, wrapped with the why. And then I can start to plan out from there. Otherwise, distractions become too easy to fall into the trap. And I think we've all experienced that time distortion thing where we thought we would just do something for 5 minutes, and then 1 hour later we're like, what happened? What happened? So be intentional and guard your focus and attention.
Yeah. The focus is, I mean, now more than ever, it's so easy to lose focus because there are so many things grabbing at our focus. If you have kids, obviously that's a big one. A spouse, that's a
Yeah.
big one. And of course, every single company in the world is trying to grab our focus through things like social media, television, ads, whatever it is. So, ways to guard against it, like you said, copying on social media, if you're doing it in a healthy way, not a bad thing. Set a timer on your phone and say, "Hey, I'm allotting 15 minutes today, 5 minutes today." I've done with a client before is I said, "Hey, give yourself 5 minutes. Try this out. And if you feel like 5 minutes wasn't enough, increase it by 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 2 minutes, and then try it out. And if that then it feels like you were fulfilled, good. That's your time now, and use that and just feel it out." But to your point, it's very easy to all of a sudden 45 minutes just went by and I've got nothing done other than
Yeah.
look at, cops arresting people because that's what's on my TikTok feed right now for some reason. I watched one video and now that's all that's there.
Yeah.
That's what happens because they know how to get you. They know how to get you. But even still, even when you're like, for me, sometimes I'll be like, I'm watching all these business productivity videos on TikTok, so I'm being productive. It's like, no, I'm not. Yeah, they're all these great ideas, but you know what those great ideas have me doing? Laying on my couch and watching them and not actually doing any of them. All I needed to do was watch one to kick me into gear, and that took me 45 seconds. So putting like a timer on, trying to
Yeah.
be responsible in these things, go for a walk. That's another good way to like. I got to get out of the house. I've kept the main thing the main thing. Now I want to go for a walk. Okay, go for a 15-minute walk. Go for a 20-minute walk, but maybe don't go for an hour and a half walk because after that you're going to be exhausted and you're going to want to lay down. So figure this out. yourself. There's going to be a little trial and error. Don't kick yourself if there's a little error. That's okay. You're learning, but make sure you're taking notes of where the timing works for you, and then just adjust accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's lessons here from if you remember the old, very successful Pringles commercial. You can't eat just one. And that's the thing is when we get into these things that aren't the main thing, it's like Pringle after Pringle after Pringle. What we're saying is design your environment to where imagine when you could just eat just one by opening the can, taking one out or a few out, putting that down, closing the can, putting it up in the cabinet, out of sight, out of mind. And now I just have this little bit of thing versus a whole can. And so the important thing to think about there is your nose guard your yes. Your nose guard your yes. So I don't need to have the whole can in front of me. I just need to have a few of those chips. And part of that no is what is it that I can delegate? What is it that I can delay? And what is it that I can delete? Those three Ds, very powerful right there, in terms of being able to make your yes the main thing, guarded by the no's. When I have a strong enough why, that's going to compel and pull me forward into those actions of the main thing. But again, we're saying life is enjoyable with variety too. Don't get rid of all distractions, but you have to find it in balance so you're not ending up at the end of 50 minutes going, where's my Pringles? The can's empty. Now, so this is what we're trying to invite all of you to be able to consider and start to design in your own life.
Yeah. And don't let focus or ownership feel like punishment. You should feel empowered when you do these things. These should be achievements and accomplishments, and you should celebrate these moments because the more you celebrate them and make them feel like accomplishments, they're going to be easier to get to. They're going to be in your toolkit. You're going to know how good you feel after you conquer some of these, distractions or putting the Pringles can away after eating one or two chips because you're a hero at that point. You're basically in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I don't know how you pull that feat off, but it's
Yeah.
now it's in your toolkit. You could reach for that and say, no, no, no. I know I could put my phone down after 5 minutes because as soon as that timer goes off, I go, oh, it's time to go back to work, back to the main thing,
Mhm.
and I'm good. And now it's a celebration, and you're like,
Mhm.
I got this, I got this, I got this. Think about how much more in control you feel, and you don't feel like, oh, the timer went off. Time to put the phone down and go back to work. No, you're in control. You're powerful. You're taking over. And that's a great feeling and a reframe to have as opposed to I'm punishing myself. No, you're rewarding yourself. It's a different mindset, but it's the same outcome. It's the same, not the same outcome, it's the same activities you're doing, but it's just a different outcome of mindset.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think kind of wrapping these things up, what we're talking about and sharing with all of you is what is the empowerment that you can give to yourself to be able to move forward. We're not talking about massive changes. For instance, the Prinkles, example again, that I know that there's some fitness guides and coaches that will turn around and say, go into your whole kitchen and just throw everything out. That is a massive change. And some people can do that. There's many people though who can't. What we're saying is, what's the one thing today? The one thing today. And maybe that one thing is decide what is my main thing. The one thing is why is that the main thing? Why is it important to me and those people around me? What is it that I can make that a beacon of light for me? What no's can I put into place to guard that yes? And again, that I can delegate, delay or delete from my life. And what is the one thing today that will help me just eat the one chip and not the whole can?
Yeah, that's a wonderful place to stop. Thank you for telling me about the Pringles because I got to be honest with you. I didn't have breakfast. I'm a little hungry. So now I'm thinking about potato chips today. But I'm going to control and focus myself, and I'm not going to go eat a whole can today. So thank you for the motivation. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Anyway, anybody, we would love to hear from you. Please comment below. Send us DMs if there's a topic you want to hear about. We love hearing from you. But I am James Fenimore. That is Jason Donahue, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.